Naoya Inoue's rise from a promising prospect in Japan to one of the most complete fighters in modern boxing is nothing short of remarkable. In an era dominated by social media bravado and the cultivation of instant personalities, Inoue's ascent has been almost paradoxical. He is soft-spoken, reserved, and measured in public appearances, speaking through deeds rather than declarations. Yet inside the squared circle, he becomes a razor-edged force, whose combination of discipline, reflexes, and surgical timing creates a body of work that seems to grow in quality and depth with each passing year. This quiet precision has been a hallmark of his career, yet it has not insulated him from criticism. Indeed, some of his most defining performances have emerged directly in response to those doubts. Stephen Fulton Jr., talented, outspoken, and confident, served as one of the most vocal skeptics of Inoue's abilities. Fulton's assertions that Inoue had been flattered by regional matchmaking and that his record was padded established a narrative that would ultimately frame one of the era's most consequential encounters, the night Inoue dismantled Fulton in Tokyo, rewriting skepticism in real time for a global audience. Before the confrontation with Inoue, Stephen Fulton Jr. had established himself as a meticulous and technically proficient champion. His style emphasized precision, patience, and adaptability, particularly in close-range exchanges where timing and strategy were paramount. Fulton's breakthrough arrived when he captured a world title in a closely contested bout against Angelo Leo. That fight revealed his stamina, ring intelligence, and ability to adjust under pressure, qualities that marked him as a serious competitor. Building on that momentum, he unified titles with a hard-fought victory over Brandon Figueroa, a match that tested his endurance and strategic flexibility. Fulton had earned the respect of fans and peers alike, his credibility rarely questioned. Yet as whispers of a showdown with Inoue grew louder, he became increasingly vocal about his skepticism regarding the Japanese champion. Fulton insisted that Inoue's resume had been padded by selective matchmaking, that his opponents in Japan lacked the diversity and athleticism seen in American boxing, and that his dominance had come too easily. Perhaps the most inflammatory of Fulton's comments involved the notion of loaded gloves, a claim that implied an unthinkable breach of boxing's most sacred trust. Without concrete evidence, Fulton suggested in interviews that Inoue's victories were enhanced unfairly, insinuating that past challengers may have faced undue risk. In boxing, hand-wrap accusations are not trivial. The ceremonial act of wrapping a fighter's hands is considered almost sacred, a ritual that protects both athlete and opponent. To question that integrity is to question the very foundation of the sport. Fulton's claims struck at the heart of Inoue's professionalism, introducing a palpable tension that carried into fight week. Scrutiny of Inoue's hands and preparation was meticulous, almost forensic, though nothing irregular was discovered. Yet the emotional undercurrent persisted, sharpening the anticipation for what would become a defining night. When both men finally stepped into the ring at Tokyo's Ariake Arena, the air was electric. Spectators sensed that this was not merely a unification bout, but a reckoning. Would Fulton's doubts find validation, or would Inoue's methodical mastery render them moot? The answer unfolded with meticulous inevitability. Round 1 began with a careful exchange, both fighters probing and measuring. Fulton, known for his calculated approach, circled the perimeter, flicking jabs to test responses and maintain distance. Inoue, in contrast, displayed an uncanny calm, using subtle angles, impeccable balance, and clean footwork to assert a quiet dominance. Every step forward, every feint, revealed a fighter in complete command of his faculties. Though the opening round seemed cautious on the surface, the underlying dynamics were immediately clear. Inoue's timing was sharper, his reactions faster, and his control of space superior. He had not yet unleashed his full arsenal, but his presence was already transformative. By the round's conclusion, Inoue had seized the initiative, not through sheer aggression but through strategic clarity. Fulton, accustomed to dictating pace, found himself responding, a subtle shift that foreshadowed the rounds to come. The second round saw Inoue expand his command. His confidence manifested in increased output and precision. Jabs and combinations landed with startling accuracy, disrupting Fulton's rhythm and preventing the American from establishing his usual counterpunching flow. Each step Inoue took was calculated, each punch measured. Fulton's attempts to respond were consistently a fraction too slow, illustrating a fundamental principle. He had anticipated a tactical battle but had not accounted for Inoue's supremacy in the basics. Footwork, spacing, and timing all shifted decisively in favor of the Japanese champion. The round ended with a growing sense that Fulton's plan was unraveling, that the doubts which had fueled his skepticism might instead be revealing a misjudgment. Round 3 solidified the emerging pattern. Fulton's attempts to engage were met with unerring accuracy and timing. When he moved forward, Inoue met him with stiff jabs or quick combinations that disrupted balance and inflicted measurable damage. When Fulton retreated, Inoue cut off angles with minimal movement, showcasing a mastery of space rarely seen even at the highest level. The psychological impact became visible. Fulton's expression tightened, his shoulders stiffened, and his attempts at initiative faltered. Inoue was not merely winning exchanges. He was dismantling the very identity Fulton had cultivated over his career. The champion's frustration was palpable, and the crowd sensed the shift. Round 4 intensified the control. Inoue manipulated distance with surgical precision, dictating tempo and reading Fulton's movements as if anticipating them. Feints were purposeful, jabs were punctuated by subtle power, and combinations flowed naturally. Fulton tried variations, circling, altering levels, employing lateral movement, but none disrupted the rhythm of his opponent. The Japanese fighter's presence dominated both mental and physical space, reinforcing the emerging narrative. Fulton had come to test Inoue, only to find that the test was being administered in reverse. Each punch landed, each adjustment executed, reinforced the sense of inevitability. By round 5, Inoue's assault had taken a clearly defined shape. He increased volume, added precise body shots, and punctuated exchanges with controlled power that left Fulton struggling to reset. The American's counters, once crisp and purposeful, became increasingly reactive and ineffective. Inoue's confidence had transformed into momentum. Each landed combination amplified the psychological and tactical advantage. Round 6 further emphasized the attrition. Consistent bodywork chipped at Fulton's stamina, while headshots reminded him of the consequences of misjudged advances. For the first time in his championship career, Fulton appeared not physically overwhelmed but conceptually trapped, unable to reconcile the reality in front of him with the plans he had carefully prepared. By the 7th round, the toll of Inoue's dominance became starkly visible. Fulton's expression betrayed hesitation, frustration, and mounting confusion. He continued to fire back, yet the crispness of his punches had diminished, replaced by obligation rather than conviction. Inoue, sensing this unraveling, pressed forward with composure, landing combinations that reverberated across the arena. Power was applied with precision, not fury, a controlled, inescapable authority that symbolized mastery rather than anger. The psychological component of Inoue's dominance was as significant as the physical. Fulton's self-assurance eroded, leaving him vulnerable in ways that belied his talent and preparation. The moment of conclusion arrived in round 8. Inoue, having observed and adapted to Fulton's patterns with surgical clarity, timed his assault with devastating efficiency. A perfectly placed right hand followed by a left hook sent the champion to the canvas. The roar of the crowd signaled more than excitement. It marked the crystallization of a narrative that had unfolded over the preceding rounds. Fulton rose, but the fight was effectively over. Inoue's subsequent combination left no doubt. The match was settled with clarity, precision, and finality. The accusations, skepticism, and doubts that had accompanied the build-up were swept away by undeniable performance. Inoue had done more than win. He had made an argument, an unassailable demonstration of excellence executed in real time. The victory over Fulton did not emerge in isolation. Inoue's U.S. debut against Antonio Nieves years earlier carried similar undertones of skepticism. Nieves, like Fulton, suggested that Inoue's record had been inflated and that fighting predominantly in Japan limited his exposure to diverse styles. Yet the fight itself provided immediate refutation. From the opening bell, Inoue dictated the pace, employed crisp and punishing body shots, and maintained footwork that consistently left his opponent off balance. By the fifth round, the fight was halted, Nieves's corner conceding the inevitability of the outcome. For American audiences, the performance was revelatory. Inoue's skill was portable, transcending geography without losing potency or impact. Together, ing and precision. What sets Inoue apart is the consistency of his approach. Each opponent, regardless of style or reputation, is met with the same meticulous preparation, the same focus on fundamentals executed to perfection. Critics, once voices of doubt, are absorbed into the narrative of triumph, transformed from obstacles into catalysts for performance. Inoue's ascension is not the product of theatrics or noise. It is the outcome of deliberate, patient craftsmanship, refined over years of disciplined work. Each fight becomes a canvas, each combination a brushstroke in a larger portrait of dominance, illustrating a truth often overlooked in contemporary boxing. Excellence is not always loud, but it is always undeniable. From his early bouts in Japan to his global performances, Inoue has consistently demonstrated that true skill is both universal and adaptive. His ability to read opponents, adjust mid-fight, and control tempo is a testament to both physical and mental discipline. These qualities, timing, precision, footwork, and anticipation, define his legacy more than any belt or title ever could. Every opponent who enters the ring brings not only their own skills but also the weight of expectation and strategy. Inoue neutralizes all, transforming potential conflict into an orchestrated display of mastery. The arc of Inoue's career is illustrative of a broader principle in boxing, the interplay between doubt and excellence. Where others see challenge, he sees opportunity. Where others respond with bravado, he responds with measured action. His ability to silence critics is not rooted in rhetoric but in performance, a distinction that elevates him above mere spectacle. Inoue's rise, marked by fights against skeptics and champions alike, underscores the enduring value of discipline, intelligence, and refinement in a sport often enamored with chaos and flamboyance. Every fight reinforces the same truths. Speed, power, and accuracy are tools, but their effectiveness is contingent on understanding, timing, and application. Inoue embodies these principles. His dismantling of Fulton, following the pattern first seen against Nieves, is not an anomaly. It is the continuation of a career-long thesis. Mastery is self-evident, and excellence does not require validation beyond its execution. Inoue's performances speak in the language of boxing, a language that transcends nationality, style, and expectation. Looking forward, Inoue's influence is likely to persist. His example challenges contemporaries and aspirants alike to reconsider what constitutes greatness. It suggests that mastery is not flashy, that domination need not be loud, and that precision, timing, and strategy often outweigh brute force or showmanship. Inoue is a reminder that boxing remains a science as much as an art, that the most profound performances often unfold quietly yet decisively in the ring, leaving both spectators and critics to marvel at their inevitability. The triumph over Fulton crystallized a career-long pattern. Skepticism is met with clarity, preparation with execution, and skill with inevitability. Inoue's ability to internalize criticism and transform it into action is as instructive as it is spectacular. Each adjustment, each landed punch, and each controlled exchange contributes to a narrative larger than any single bout, a story of refinement, patience, and excellence. For Inoue, the fight is both medium and message. His work in the ring speaks more eloquently than words ever could. Inoue's legacy is thus twofold. He is a champion, a holder of belts and accolades, but he is also a standard-bearer for what boxing can represent at its purest. The lighter divisions, long marginalized in popular discourse, gain prominence through his performances. Speed, intelligence, and accuracy are celebrated as instruments of beauty and dominance. Criticism, once a potential obstacle, becomes a motivating force that sharpens focus and hones execution. The spectacle of his bouts, particularly against Fulton, embodies the ideal that true mastery is unassailable, not because it silences others through force, but because it demonstrates truth through performance. Inoue's story continues, each fight building on the last, each opponent providing a new challenge and an opportunity to refine his craft. His calm demeanor outside the ring contrasts with his incisive power within it, highlighting a philosophy that prizes discipline over display. Inoue has repeatedly proven that excellence is rooted not in hype but in mastery, and that true skill is its own vindication. The lessons of his career resonate beyond his personal accomplishments, offering a blueprint for understanding boxing as a discipline. Success is measured not only in victories but in the execution of fundamentals, the refinement of technique, and the ability to render criticism irrelevant through undeniable performance. Whether facing seasoned champions, vocal skeptics, or rising prospects, Inoue applies the same principles. He controls distance, manipulates timing, and executes combinations with precision. The result is a career defined not by spectacle alone, but by a consistent, unassailable command of the ring. The matches against Nieves and Fulton, taken together, illustrate this pattern in full. Inoue converts doubt into clarity, skepticism into opportunity, and challenge into demonstration. Each fight is a lesson in the craft, an exhibition of the discipline, intelligence, and foresight that mark him as one of boxing's most complete modern fighters. Above all, Inoue demonstrates that the essence of mastery is universality. His techniques, honed through years of rigorous preparation, translate seamlessly across borders and styles. His victories are not contingent on locale or opponent. They are the inevitable result of superior preparation, anticipation, and execution. Inoue's career reminds the boxing world that true greatness is self-evident, requiring no external affirmation. Every bell signals not just the start of a fight, but the unfolding of a philosophy, a statement that excellence, once achieved, speaks for itself. Naoya Inoue's journey, from a promising prospect in Japan to one of the most respected and complete fighters of his generation, represents a compelling narrative of discipline, humility, and precision. He fights not for applause but to embody mastery. He triumphs not for spectacle but to validate craft. His dismantling of Stephen Fulton Jr. stands as a defining moment, a culmination of years of preparation, skill development, and psychological fortitude. Each round was a lesson in fundamentals, each punch a demonstration of clarity, and each adjustment a reflection of anticipatory skill. The fight was more than a victory. It was a statement, a definitive answer to every doubt cast upon him, and a reaffirmation of the principles that have guided his remarkable career. Inoue's story continues, his trajectory unbroken and defined by the same values that have marked his rise: discipline, mastery, and a quiet, inexorable excellence. He is a craftsman, a purist, and a standard-bearer for the lighter divisions. In every fight, he demonstrates that skill transcends geography, that mastery requires no justification beyond execution, and that the purest form of greatness is evident in action. Inoue's legacy, already formidable, is defined not only by victories but by the manner in which they are achieved, through precision, intelligence, and unassailable craft. He is a fighter for whom noise is irrelevant, for whom hype is secondary, and for whom mastery, when fully realized, speaks louder than any criticism. Naoya Inoue embodies the ideal that excellence in boxing is not a product of theatrics but of preparation, discipline, and strategic clarity. From early domestic bouts to world stages against formidable opponents, his career demonstrates the power of mastery over doubt, skill over spectacle, and discipline over impulsive force. His triumphs over Nieves and Fulton reveal the contours of his greatness, a combination of anticipation, technical proficiency, and psychological acuity that renders opponents' plans ineffective and silences critics through undeniable evidence. Inoue's legacy is secure not only in the record books but also in the ongoing narrative of boxing itself, a narrative that celebrates clarity, precision, and the quiet, devastating authority of a true master of the sport. Inoue's ongoing career promises further evolution and continued excellence. Each fight reinforces lessons not only for spectators but for the sport itself, that preparation, humility, and mastery are the ultimate arbiters of success, that brilliance is demonstrated through action, not assertion, and that the best fighters command respect not through noise, but through clarity and precision executed consistently at the highest level. In summary, Naoya Inoue's rise is defined by a rare combination of discipline, skill, and strategic clarity. In an age of spectacle and hype, he has demonstrated that true mastery requires no validation beyond execution. His victories over Nieves and Fulton encapsulate a career-long pattern, absorbing doubt, converting criticism into focus, and asserting dominance with clarity, precision, and intelligence. Inoue is a craftsman, a strategist, and a true master of his weight class, whose performances exemplify the timeless principles of boxing: speed, accuracy, intelligence, and anticipation. Each fight, each adjustment, and each victory reinforces the central truth of his career. Mastery is evident not in proclamations but in performance, and when it is fully realized, it speaks louder than any criticism, transcending both geography and expectation. Through methodical preparation, measured execution, and relentless refinement, Inoue has elevated the sport of boxing. He has proven that the lighter divisions can produce displays of brilliance rivaling any in the heavyweight ranks, that precision can be as thrilling as raw power, and that mastery, quiet, assured, and unyielding, commands attention and respect without the need for theatrics. Naoya Inoue's career serves as a blueprint for excellence, a testament to what can be achieved when skill, discipline, and psychological acuity converge in the ring. Each bout, from early domestic matchups to global championship fights, reinforces the same overarching truth. Mastery, when fully realized, is unmistakable, transcendent, and unassailable.